This is a special edition for those that like longer videos. This will be part 1 of 2, possibly 3, and I consider this series to be my most important to date. As you know, my channel is 2 years old, so what I'm going to do in this series is go through all the most compelling evidence that I've found of remnants of an ancient civilization on Mars. So this is a volume, a catalogue looking at all the anomalies and artifacts I discovered over the past 2 years. So just before we get started, a quick note: the name of the blog post and YouTube video from which these anomalies I've taken appears on the first line at the bottom of each slide. Just underneath that, the reference to the original NASA photograph, and then the scale indicator to the right. So we're starting off with ancient wreckage and structures east of Ready on Mars, part 1, and we're looking at an anomaly right there in the center of about 12 by 10 meters, and it's got this delta shape to it, and very close to its center, this bright smaller part, and we'll see there's lots more like it. This one over here from the same blog post and YouTube video, also about 12 by 10, and it's got the protrusion or smaller part in the center. Also has this delta shape, and there they are side by side for comparison. I'll be joining lots of dots in this video or in this series, so do check out the similarities. I try to highlight common design features where I can. Next anomaly right there, also from the same blog post and video, about 10 by 10 meters, and it's got this strange plectrum shape to it. Very weird part at the apex over there. Check it, the triangle, and through the apex and the middle line we've got those two protrusions, and that's also a common design feature. The two protrusions, some have got 3, others many more. So check out this one, another sort of plectrum pumpkin seed shaped object, and this is from part 2 of that series, and it's about 8 by 12 meters, and in its center it's got this dome or circular feature. Right, then we're looking at this anomaly over here. Also has a strange part coming off to the one side, and it measures about 12 by 12 meters. It's got this partial disc shape to it with a hole right there in its center, and this part coming off to the left, very similar to that one over there, also with that part sticking off to the left. Then we're looking at Millennium Falcon, as I call it, standing monolith structures and wreckage in Utopia on Mars, and it's got this strange shape to it, almost like the Baltic Sea anomaly. We've got a disc to the one side and these two parts sticking off in parallel to one another, and that there's about 10 meters in diameter, and each of these is about 6 meters long. The Baltic Sea anomaly, or Millennium Falcon as I call it. Very strange feature. Check it, the right angle over here in this part. Then this is from weird debris found in South Isidis Basin on Mars, and it looks like a strange piece of machinery or technology, almost like a little craft with a wing on it. That piece there is about 12 meters long, and it's got this rectangular part to it, and then, as I said, it looks like a type of little wing coming off the one side. Very unusual feature that. Right, then we're looking at this strange wreckage maybe, or some type of tech as well. That's about 20 meters long, and up close it's got this long narrow piece sticking out of what looks like the type of a hangar opening over there. I don't know what to make of this thing. Check it, that arc to the brighter piece over there. We've got straight edges, it's slightly elevated off to the right, and then this part sticking off over here. Maybe even could be like a type of a little entranceway or ramp with this object over there to the right. And we're looking at a rather strange object over there. I call it the Star Trek 2001 Mars Rendezvous, an ode to Roddenberry and Clark. And it's got this weird shape. It looks almost like the Starship Enterprise without the nacelles. The disk is about 300 meters in diameter, and then through the center line we've got that part sticking out over there. As I say, it looks very much like the Starship Enterprise without the two nacelles over here. And we're looking at some more discs with domes on them. This one here is from saucer-shaped craft found in Ionia Terra, and it's about 12 meters in diameter, and the dome on top about 5 meters in diameter. And we've got this one, it's a bit smaller, about 5 meters in diameter, and it's also got a little dome on it, and it looks as if it's parked in a destroyed entranceway or hangar. Very unusual as well. And then another one also from Odds and Ends in Ionia Terra on Mars, about 8 meters in diameter, and it's also got a little dome on it right in its center. And there they are for comparison. Check it, the geometry and symmetry in that. And we're looking at this strange craft. It looks like a typical flying saucer with a dome on it. This one's about, let's see, 10 to 12 meters in diameter, and it's from matching pair of derelict classic UFO-type craft or objects found on Mars. And there it is up close. Looks as if it's crashed into the Martian surface over there, with this backside slightly elevated off the surface. And then there's the other one, also from the same blog post and YouTube video, about 12 meters in diameter, and it's also got the classic disc and dome on the top. And I think my friend Saturn Arc found this one. So there they are side by side for comparison. Check it, the similar geometry and layout of those two objects. Right, then we're getting to huge triangular blocks. This one measures about 15 by 15 by 15, and it's got a small dark hole in its center of about a meter, meter and a half in diameter. Check it, the three sides, and look at the depth to it. Very similar to some more that I'll show you in the next couple of slides. Check out this strange object. That straight piece there is about 12 meters long, consists of multiple parts. We've got the larger part to the right, this part over here to the left, and then this straight piece with this rounded part coming off the one side there. And in parallel with it, we've got that bevel partially covered in sand and dust. And that there looks like a donut shaped object over there. Right, then we're looking at a sort of a delta wing design, if I call it that, object, and it's about 15 meters across. And if we zoom up close, we can see the three sides. Look at the two triangular slots over there. And then the next block, another huge triangular block, this time in green, crater on Mars. And it's about 15 by 15 by 15. And also it has this dark spot in its center. Very smooth, flat surface to it as well. There's the other triangle. This is from another huge triangular block west of Prometheus Terra on Mars. And it's also about 15 by 15 by 15 meters. And it looks like it has a hatch on it. Check that out. And there they are for comparison. So another common design feature on Mars. And then the delta-shaped object, there's another one. My friend Saturn Arc discovered this one. And it's about 12 to 15 meters wide. And there it is up close. We can see the typical triangular design with two slots on the side there. And there they are. Next one, another for comparison. Looks almost like a drone. Right, then we're looking at this strange object. Another one of these T-shapes. This one's about 10 by 10 meters. The ancient Utopian ruins of Mars. And up close we can see three parts to it. This looks almost like a disc on its side. And then this T piece over here with that protrusion sticking out over the middle one over there. Very similar to that one we had a look at a couple of slides ago. And that's also a very common design feature. I'll show you more of those in upcoming slides. Right, then we've got what we call the Kanowski Arch, and my friend Saturn Arc found this one. And this is from the Kanowski Arch on Mars Revisited in color. And it's got this triangular shape or design to it. In the center, hollowed out over there. Check the straight edges and the geometry and symmetry in this piece. This piece here looks as if it's broken and sunk into the surface slightly. Get the curve over there in the rounded part. Very ornate design. And this is also from the Kanowski Pyramid. We've got alignment of smaller parts. Check at this piece, that's about 20 meters wide. And consists of this long rectangular piece there. Looks like it might be two. Next one another, that rounded part. And then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 smaller parts aligned in a row next to it. And yeah, you can also see the tiles or slabs of the ancient pyramid. It's also huge. These tiles are about 5 by 5 meters. And we've got this strange, almost like a mantelpiece shape to it. And that's about 20 meters wide. And the disc in the center over there is about 8 meters wide. Got these two long narrow pieces on either side of that disc, and in front of it that dome-like object over there. Check out the alignment and placement of those objects. Right, then from the same blog post and YouTube video, we've got this strange object about 10 by 10 meters, and it's just to the north of the Kanowski Pyramid. If I can recall, at the shape almost got this plectrum design to it again. Symmetry through the center line. We've got that oblong part on the top. I wonder if that's like a sphinx type of design as seen from the top. Right, then this is from the megalithic blocks of Utopia Planitia on Mars. Insight update. We'll be looking at all these huge megalithic blocks and slabs. These measure about 10 by 10 meters. Look at this, for example. We've got a row of them over there next to one another. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. And there they are up close. So this looks like this area was totally devastated. Got these structures consisting of huge megalithic blocks that are dispersed throughout this region. So this is from the same blog post and video, the alignment of those. And there they are up close, arranged in this semicircular pattern around one another. And each of them seems to have like a dark spot in the center. Check these out, 2 rows over there, parallel to one another, and all these blocks are cut to fit next to one another. Check that out, 2 rows of them over there. Those 2 over there have got knobs or protrusions on them, and this one over here too. Very similar to those in South America. Okay, this is from the Utopia Planitia ruins of Mars. Got multiple rows of blocks over here, guys and girls. Check these out. We'll zoom in here. And let's just check that block there, for example, is about 12 by 4 meters. That we got a row of them there, and then in parallel that row there. We've got 2 rows over here as well. Look like these were buildings perhaps. Okay, so that there, that block is about 10 by 8 meters, and we've got 2 rows, and we've got protrusions on those blocks over there. Also from the same video and blog post, more rows of blocks. That one there is about 12 by 5 meters, and looks almost like a toppled wall. 2 blocks next to one another, and then 2 smaller blocks next to each. More placement of blocks or slabs in that area. This is from Hallis region crater floor debris field on Mars, and each of those blocks is about 5 by 5 meters. We zoom up close, it's in this circular pattern around this larger part in the center. Also looks as if they fit tightly together, and due to the devastation they've moved apart. Check out these blocks. This is from the ruins of Anomalous on Mars, and these blocks are typically about 10 by 10 meters, and we're looking at these. We've got 2 rows, check that out. Also these fit next to one another. More blocks arranged in rows over here. Check out this one, that measures about 15 by 10 meters, and it's got another smaller block next to it. I wonder if these are part of the same block. And this is from some of the best evidence of megalithic blocks and ruins on Mars. This is near InSight Lander and rover Curiosity. And that block over there measures about the one side, 10 by 10 meters. That's 10 by 10. The smooth, flat surfaces, straight edges, right angles. And then this rather weird structure that measures about 12 by 15 meters. And there's some weird geometry and symmetry in this. Look at the triangle on the one side, comes up to a point. The shadowed casts as well, and then this is slightly hollowed out over here. Another weird block there. Each side is about 10 by 10 meters, and it's got this strange protrusion or knob on the one side. And here we've got blocks still intact next to one another. And each of these blocks is about 10 by 10 meters, and we've got 2 rows over there, and on top a triangular block with a flattened dome-like feature there. Okay, yeah, we've got more blocks next to one another. That there looks like a pillar, and that's about 12 by, let's see, 8 meters wide, and it's next to a block of about 8 by 8 meters with the smooth flat surfaces to it, got straight edges and right angles going on there too, and then a triangle has been cut into this one edge. And there they are for comparison. And these are blocks from Mawara Pyramid inner core, limestone blocks, and it's the external veneer. And we've got smaller blocks over there in the background. Right, then this is a strange L-shaped piece there that measures about 12 by 10 meters, and it's got straight edges, right angle there, 45-degree angle here, and then that there looks like a little opening. Wonder if that's an entranceway to that structure. And this is from walled structures and megaliths found in Asimov crater. My friend Saturn Arc found this one. This is about 10 meters wide and about 15 meters long. And not sure if it's like an arch with light shining through over there, or if this is like a block with slanted sides with this piece sticking out of the right over there. Another block also from Asimov. This is about let's see, 12 by 15 meters. Got straight edges, right angles, and then this part on the corner being carved away. And then this weird thing, nothing else like it, also in Asimov, totally on its own, and that piece is about 18 meters wide. And very unusual is the piece over here that's been carved out. Got straight edges and a right angle, and then this piece curving down into that opening. And then this is from the ancient Hellespontus wreckage of Mars. And we're looking at that strange object over there in the center, which is about, let's see, about 20 meters long and about 12 meters wide. And it's got, looks like a delta shape to it. Looks almost like a little craft with the smaller wings at the back over there. Almost like the Quimbaya jet found in South America. Okay, this is from Mars and the ancient Egyptian link. The evidence, we've got that weird part there in the center. That's about 15 meters long by about 8 meters wide. It's got 3 parts to it. The smaller scoop-like thing in the front, the larger part at the back. Look at that curve, and this little part sticking out there. And then this looks like a little winglet on the side. And this one's from also Mars and the ancient Egyptian link. The evidence, it's also about the same size, and this one looks totally destroyed. It's also got the scoop-like thing in the front, the larger part at the back, little part sticking out there, and a little winglet on the side. And there they are next to one another for comparison. And these are stone carvings of scarab beetles. This is from the British Museum, and this one, the Karnak Temple complex in Egypt. Very similar looking critters. Right, then this is a strange chevron-shaped structure. This is from ancient chevron-shaped ruin found on Mars, and each of these sides is about 480 meters long. Look at the symmetry and geometry in that. And there it is up close. One of these ends were closed, and looks like there might have been a flood in this area that covered the structure. Then we're looking at a weird triangular feature that's been carved into the Martian surface. This is zoomed out. This is from Mayan, or strange geometric shape carved into a Martian surface, and it's not to scale. And there it is up close, 1:1 scale, and you can see how huge it is. Check out the symmetry in this as well. And then this triangular shape over there, barely visible, is from Strangeness in Gorgonum Chaos on Mars in color. And each of those sides is about, let's see, just over 50 meters long. How straight that is. And it looks like these smaller boulders or rocks have been packed into those two lines. Another rectangular structure, also huge. Looks like this was flooded over at some point. There's another one, also massive. And then this one here. This is from Pyramidal Structures Commonplace on Mars. And each of these sides is about 30 meters long. And up close, check at these straight lines in this design as well. Looks like this could have been an opening, flat, smooth surface there. And then the other side is barely visible over here, with that line running through there. And this strange triangular structure on plains and uplands east of Insight Lander on Mars. This weird triangular structure as well. Looks almost as if there's a design on the one side over here. That out. Like a carving of something on that one side. And this triangle is from the ancient Cerberus Palace ruins on Mars. Also a huge triangular structure over there. And then that one in very pristine condition. Massive structures and small craft found on Mars. And each side is about 30 meters long. Very smooth surface to it. straight sides, perfect geometry and symmetry going on there as well. And there they are for comparison. Undeniable the similarity in geometry with these. Right, then this huge pyramid I found, each side is about 3 kilometers long. You can see the 4 sides, typical of a pyramid, and then on the top, the apex there is flat. And that's from Mars and the ancient Egyptian link, the evidence. Very similar to this Great Pyramid of Giza. You've got the 4 sides and the apex there is flat. The capstone has been removed. Right, and then also from Mars and the ancient Egyptian link, the evidence, the Eye of Horus. And that there is about, it's massive, 500 meters wide. And we zoom up close, you can see the eyebrow, the 2 eyelids, and the pupil. Or it looks like a ship, some other boat or ship with the rudder part over here. Maybe those are oars sticking over the sides. And then this is a bad water industrial complex and or mining operation on Mars. NASA actually calls this area bad water, so very weird. We've got these like roads or foundations and rectangular parts carved into the surface. I wonder if this is some type of industrial complex or mining operation, maybe even foundations of an ancient city, about 400 by 200 meters, just to give you an idea of how huge these are. Very unusual for nature to form features like this. This is also from bad water. These look like roads. Check that out. We've got plenty of parallel lines, 90-degree angles. And then this, ancient Inca type ruins, retaining walls or farm found on Mars. The walls are about 100 meters thick, and each side is about, let's see, 2 to 3 kilometers long. You've got 90-degree angles, check there, parallel sides, and in the middle what looks like plant life. Reminds me of rice fields or farming in Thailand, also with these retaining walls. And then this comes from, NASA actually calls this an Inca city on Mars. So I call the video, NASA calls this an Inca city on Mars. But this huge cross in the Martian surface. Symmetry and geometry again. Those 2 sides very similar, with this long part going through the center. And then bizarre grid-like structures in Atlantis chaos on Mars. Also are these foundations of an ancient city, some type of roads or some type of industry. We've got multiple little squares and rectangles, right angles, parallel lines. Check that out. Those there, same size. It's almost like piping as well. That part there, get the 45-degree angles of this cross that's going through there. And then more rectangles. In this part, this is from Transit Hubs and More in Atlantis Chaos City on Mars. And again, we've got 45-degree angles to the surrounding structure. Got parallel lines there. Get this strange S-shaped part over here. 90-degree angle there. It's almost like these are elevated off the surface. Definitely have shadows being cast underneath them. So like bridges, pipes, walls. Okay, then this is weird. Show you something similar. It's almost like shark gills. Maybe this is some type of wind trap system or ventilation system. Each of these is about 20 meters wide, and we can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 possibly in a row over there, and we've got what looked like vents over there. And then this strange looking creature or critter is from Mars Atlantis Chaos, creature, craft, wing and more. And this piece there, that's about 40 to 50 meters long. Looks almost like some type of worm or creature with all these legs, but also we've got what looked like vents. So there they are next to one another. Right, then we're looking at that disc-like object there. This is from Drava Vallis Structures, Debris and Wreckage on Mars. And this piece is about 10 meters across. And what makes it interesting is the alignment of the placement there of those three knobs or features. Same size, arranged in a triangle to get the distance between them. Symmetry and geometry again. And that part also structures and wreckage south of Lamont on Mars part 2. And we've got that block over there, measures about 10 by 10 meters. And we'll be checking out this piece that measures about 10 by 4 meters. This raised line over there, parallel to that one side. I checked that part, also totally out of place. That's about 10 by 5 meters, and this is from Craft and Structures, captured in Thermusia Fosse on Mars. And it's got this stepped design to it. It's almost like some type of wreckage. And then in the middle it's got that dark spot. Not sure if that's a hole or whether there's something there casting that shadow. Got this piece, more placement of smaller parts on top of that. And this is from Structures and Debris east of Aesarchus Dorsum on Mars part 2. And that piece is about, let's see, 10 meters across, and placed on top in a perfect triangle. We've got those three smaller parts. Check out this strange object there. That's about 10 by 10 meters, and it's got this rounded side, and on top little rectangular part. Very unusual. piece of wreckage maybe. And then this is from Structures and Ruins near Halley on Mars. And we're looking at this region over there. Look at this block, got a 90-degree angle cut in there, protrusion in the center, and then these seem to be arranged in a circular pattern. Here we've got what looks like a monolith standing up straight there. We've got a little dome-like feature on that part. And then this, a little smiley face, if I could call it that. That's about 20 meters in diameter. And also on top we've got placement of smaller parts or protrusions in a triangle, and in the center this little cross-shaped object over there. So highly unusual. And then this part, that's about 15 meters across, and makes it interesting is this disc shape to the left, and then this rectangular part coming off to the top right. And in the center of the disc part we've got that cone. Right, check at the alignment on top of that there as well. This is from Blocks, Knobs and Geometric Patterns east of Zia Dorsa on Mars part 1. And that piece there is about 10 meters across. And we've got smaller protrusions, parts or knobs arranged in a triangle on the top. Placement of smaller parts on these as well. Check there, we've got another two there. There's 3 on top of that. 2 over here. Check out this rectangular substructure with a little triangle on it. And that there's about 12 meters wide. And each side of the triangle is about 4 meters. And it's arranged so that the line drawn through the apex there is parallel to the one side of the larger base structure. Going to be checking out this object over there. That's about 10 meters across, and in its center we've got this rectangular part that seems to be slightly elevated, almost like a little hatch. And there to the side we've got that little dome or sphere. Check at the alignment of those smaller ones going through there. This piece is about 20 meters wide, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 dark spots on it in a row, same size, and we've got symmetry and geometry going on here as well. Okay, we're looking at the top right over here. The part there is about 15 meters wide, and on top we've got an arrangement of smaller parts, protrusions or knobs in a circular pattern around a little conical feature. Okay, there we've got 4 on top of that object. This one measures about 8 by 8 meters, and also symmetry and geometry in the placement of those objects on top of that block. Okay, check this out, another one of these sort of delta shaped objects. That piece is about 10 meters across and about 15 meters wide. These straight edges to it, and in each side we've got 2 protrusions. this out, another row of smaller parts. This is, let's see, about 20 meters across, and zoom up close, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, these 3 over there in a row, next one another, and then these 2 parts seem to be like openings, like vents. And then we're looking at this disc-shaped object there of about 5 meters in diameter, and in its center we've got that little dome. It's next to a larger part that has this piece coming over to the left. It's almost like this was part of a opening in the distant past. Then this little object over there, from standing monoliths on foundations and more in Terra Serenum on Mars. That little object is about 10 by 2 meters wide, and the little dome-like feature is about 2 meters wide. There's another one similar to it. This one is in Kotka crater. This is from Weird Craft and Structure Artifacts found in Kotka crater on Mars. And let's see, that's also about 10 meters long, and the little dome or sphere is about 2 meters across. And it seems to be standing on a rectangular base structure with openings there, the straight edges and right angles, a small little opening here and a larger one here. And if that's an outpost, type of a radar outpost. So there they are next to one another. Look at the similarity. I've just rotated that one 180 degrees clockwise. And then this weird thing, it looks almost like a craft. That is about, let's see, 15 meters across by about 20 meters long. And the oval over there, that's about 5 meters long. And it's got this ridge line running through there. I wonder what happened to this. What on earth could it be? Check that out. Nothing else like it on Mars that I've come across yet. And then these huge structures over there. I think my friend Saturn Ark discovered these two. This like igloo shaped one over here is about 20 meters across by about 25 meters wide. And this is from Revisited Weird Structures or Rains in Utopia Planitia near Insight Lander on Mars. And it's got this dome-like shape to it, little part in the center, and then these monoliths or megalithic slabs packed around it, and that there looks as if it could be the opening. Something small sticking out there. Maybe even that could be an opening. Then we're looking at this one. Also, it's got these strange megalithic slabs or monoliths packed on the one side, and then this feature on the top. Right, and now we're looking at strange spherical objects. This is from Oddities in Real Vallis on Mars. And the one object over there, that's about 4 meters in diameter, and it seems to be placed on top of this slightly raised rectangular base structure. And then the other ones over here, also same size, and it's in this hollowed out depression over there. Not your typical meteorite that lands over there, hollows out the surface and stays right in the center intact. So was it placed there? There they are for comparison. And there's massive spherical balls found in India as well. That's it for part 1 of the evidence thus far. Please let me know what you think of these artifacts. Are they indeed remnants of an ancient civilization on Mars? Stay tuned for part 2 coming up in the near future. I hope you found this one informative and interesting. Share it with your friends, like and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And if you do, please remember to hit the notifications bell and click on all to receive updates as soon as I upload the next video. Thanks folks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.